In this video, I'm about to reveal to you the secret formula to becoming a BIM manager that no one has ever revealed. And this doesn't depend on your experience, your degree, or your age, right? So let me just introduce myself. My name is Hashan, and in this document, I'm going to show you how I was able to go from a graduate engineer to a BIM coordinator within the span of 180 days or 6 months, right? So I had no prior experience in this industry on my resume, and I didn't actually even have experience with Revit. And I learned all of this, and I went from knowing nothing to becoming a BIM coordinator within 180 days. I knew that as a graduate engineer, I would have to either do door schedules for 6 months or do meeting minutes or write reports or reply to emails. And I didn't want to do something boring for the rest of my life. And I wanted to sort of shortcut my career and actually do something more fulfilling, 3D modeling, coordination, rather than having to do modeling or AutoCAD for 6 to 12 years and then becoming a BIM manager later. So there is a way to do this. And I actually struggled to figure this out, but I figured it out. And I'm going to show you exactly step by step how to do this very quickly, because there's actually no YouTube videos online on how to do this. And me, as someone working in the industry, I'm coming on YouTube to show you exactly how to do this, right? So if I had this video a few years ago, it would save me a lot of pain and a lot of struggle, and I would be able to get this to this stage much faster, right? So let me tell you who this document is for. So this video is only for you if you know the basics of Revit and are thinking about how to get a job as a BIM manager, whether it's in person or virtually. And the reason which I say virtually is because there's barely any good BIM managers, because no one understands what it even means, right? No one knows what a BIM manager does. So companies are actually resorting to get this done virtually. That's how much of a skill shortage there is, right? So there's a huge opportunity right now for you to get in early and learn these skills. So what I mean by getting early is from now, so it's 2024, to the next 5 years, 2029, there's actually going to be a doubling in the BIM industry. And with this doubling, there's not going to be a doubling of education, because there's no good education online to show you how to become a BIM engineer or BIM modeler or BIM coordinator. So because of that, there's a supply and demand shortage. So if you can get in this early and you can understand the skills, learn the skills, you're going to progress in your career and excel, right? This doesn't only mean that you're going to be a BIM manager, but if you're a designer or a modeler, right? If you're just an architect, just by learning the skills of a BIM coordinator, you're just going to progress and propel in your career, because you're able to now work on projects and take on a whole project for yourself, right? As an architect, rather than actually just doing the modeling. You'll actually be able to take over a whole entire project holistically and have a look and coordinate the project, just because you understand what a BIM manager does. So that's what it does if you're just an architect, if you're just an engineer. But you can just learn those skills and become better at what you do, or you can get into BIM management and then later become a director or something, because it opens up so many opportunities, right? So this is, if you're an architect and you want to know exactly how to stand out in your job instantly and get promoted to coordination or management, then this is for you. If you're an engineer and you have the exact same want to stand out in your job instantly so you get promoted to coordination and management, this is also for you, right? People already in the construction industry, such as surveyors, estimators, AutoCAD draftspeople, and site people who want to transition to management coordination through 3D modeling, this is also for you. And people that are just interested in learning a high income skill and then getting transitioned into the industry before everyone else does before this starts to explode, right? And I'm saying that because look at this estimation. 2024 to 2029, there's going to be a 2x increase in the market size of the BIM modeling industry. Okay, so if you get on this now and you understand the skills that it takes to become a good BIM coordinator, BIM manager, then by the time we get to 2029, in a few years, you're going to be the manager. You're going to be the person running the show in your company, right? And if that's not the case, you're going to have the skill set to get unlimited things on Fiverr, Upwork, work virtually. People are going to come to you just because they know you have this skill set, and it's going to make you a better modeler, better architect, better engineer. It's going to take you to places that you never thought you could go to. And the reason for this is because of the AI revolution, right? Because AI came in. You remember how we had AutoCAD and then we transitioned over to Revit, and now people with AutoCAD don't get jobs anymore. So now, since Revit is there and AI is now transforming Revit, we're moving on to using BIM, right? Since we're using BIM, you need to know Revit, but you need to know BIM at the same time because AI is transforming how we're using everything in the construction industry. So just by knowing this, you're not going to be left behind. If you only know Revit, you will be left behind. So you need to understand the BIM coordination aspect of everything if you want to progress and excel in your career, right? This is not for these people, right? If you're not willing to put in some work to develop your portfolio and show employers, then it's not for you. If you're not willing to put in the work to learn new skills, then it's not for you as well, right? If you're happy with where you are and you just want to stay stagnant, then this is not for you. If you don't believe BIM is the way of the future because of AI, what I said before, then this is not for you as well. And if you believe you can have a successful career by just making money by knowing AutoCAD or Revit and that's enough, then this is not for you. And you're probably going to learn the hard way, to be honest, in 3 to 4 years when you're stuck in a job and you want to progress and learn these new opportunities, but you're not able to learn them because the people that learnt it in 2024, 2025 are now progressing past you and now you're managers, right? And now are doing BIM management and stuff like that when you're just doing modeling, right? So I don't want you to get to that stage. I want you to learn this early from someone that's been in the industry and sees the opportunity coming. So here's the secret about BIM that no one's going to tell you, right? You can absolutely break into the BIM management and coordination roles if you actually understand and learn the exact skills they have. It's not about experience, it's about skills. And the reason everyone says experience is because experience can get you the skills, right? But you also don't need experience to get the skills. You can just learn the skills beforehand. So you can get someone to teach you the skills, or you can spend 10 years trying to learn the experience and get the skills through it. So all modelers and designers actually need to have the skill set of BIM management, right? Because while you model and design, you need to be able to manage. The people who do really well in the industry, in their careers, in their jobs, are the people who actually have all these skills, right? If you're an architect and you're modeling a house or modeling like a hospital or something, you can either just be a modeler that models it and then that's it, you get told what to do, or you can model the house and then or you can model the apartment or the hospital or whatever. And as they're going to the construction phase, the construction companies will be in constant contact with you, telling you through these BIM technologies of their queries, how they can actually move their ductwork and pipework and electrical fittings. And you, because you understand the BIM management and coordination aspect of it, understands, okay, well, we can move this ceiling height by 200 mils or whatever. And this is all done through BIM management technologies, right? Do you want to be the person that's just on your computer opening Revit and being told to move the ceiling 200 mils down? Or do you want to be the person that makes the decision to move the ceiling 200 mils down based on the discussion with the MEP engineers and with the consultants, right? Or if you're an engineer, do you want to be the person that sits there and does the drafting and just moves the pipe 200 mils up against the slab? Or do you want to be the person that makes the decision, right? It's about, do you make the decision or do you do the task? And if you understand the BIM coordination tool set or the skill set, then you can do either rather than just doing things because someone tells you to do it, right? So everyone thinks BIM management's about experience and that you have to spend a decade on Revit before you even are able to have the opportunity to become a coordinator. But this is wrong. You don't need to spend a decade with experience in order to become a BIM coordinator. That is one path. It's the slow path, and it's currently the path that everyone seems to want to take because it is a guaranteed path, because 10 years of learning Revit and doing Revit, you naturally will learn. Maybe 3 years down the track, your boss will teach you how to set up a project. Then 4 years down the track or 5 years down the track, they'll teach you how to do some coordination, right? Or you can shortcut the whole thing and learn it now. You can literally learn it within 4 days. And if you just learn the skill set, then you can do 10 years of work in 1 year. You can do 10 years of work in 6 months, right? Depending on how dedicated you are. So this is what I'm trying to present to you in this video. I'm actually about to show you the step-by-step breakdown of the easiest way, and this is the way which I've done it. But before I actually show you that complete flowchart and you will understand exactly how to do it, I want to explain to you what a BIM manager does. Because if you don't understand this, then you're not going to understand the next part, right? So just bear with me for another 3 minutes and then we'll move on to this flowchart. So what does a BIM manager even do, right? So this is a building, obviously. This building has different components in it. You see some red like ductwork and lights. And then you'll see like the architect that's built the surroundings. And then you'll see all this stuff like on the outside of the building, something that like a civil engineer would have a look at, like the landscape and stuff like that, right? So before the building gets constructed in real life, we actually construct it virtually through a computer. And this is the whole process of BIM, right? Before we're going on site and we're constructing the building, it's done in the computer. So we do like a simulation of building the whole building in the computer. And once we're done and we understand this absolutely perfectly works, then we go on site and build the thing. And this is actually why we learn Revit in the first place. So if you're an architect, the reason you learn Revit is so you can model some of this stuff so that you can then give it to a BIM engineer and he can see how everything is and make sure there's no clashes, and then it gets made on site, right? If you're an MEP engineer, you will do some of the ductwork and stuff inside here so that when the architect and the BIM model, like the architect and the MEP engineers models get put on top of each other, they get to see if there's any clashes, and then it gets to get built on site, right? This is the reason we learn Revit, because we're the small fish that do the modeling, right? But different companies will model different parts of the building. So you're either one of the following six. You're either an architect, a civil engineer, and a consultant, a mechanical contractor, an electrical contractor, or a hydraulics contractor. And all of these 6 people or companies will actually need to use Revit to make some aspect of this building. And then the BIM engineer, what the BIM engineer will do is put all of these together, have a look at it in 3D and see what are the clashes, how are they moving? Does the ceiling need to drop or does it need to increase, right? Is there enough space in the ceiling to put the plumbing, the ductwork, the lights? Is there not space? Do we need to increase the space or can we reduce the space? He makes sure or she makes sure that all of these things are properly established, right? In order to make sure that this can actually be constructed. So the whole of the building's construction rests on the BIM engineer's shoulders, because if the BIM engineer can't make sure that everything is properly or like BIM manager can't make sure everything is properly coordinated within the building, then it's going to cost millions and millions of dollars just to fix it when they go on site, right? So if you're one of the above, you need to understand BIM coordination, because this is the only way in the long run you're able to provide value to the company, right? I'll give you an example. If you're an architect and you just doing modeling, like I said before, you're just going to be told to model this. You're going to be told to reduce the ceiling height by 200 mils, or you're going to be told to change something in the facade. But if you're an architect who understands the BIM management aspect of things, you combine your architectural skills with BIM coordination and management, and what happens? Then you're an architect, but the project manager and the client will tell you to do the coordination of the thing. So they'll give you the responsibility of the whole project from an architectural perspective and say, okay, we're building an actual hospital. I want you to take care of everything architectural wise. And we're going to communicate this through BIM technologies. And what's going to happen is we're going to assign clashes to you and you're going to advise us if this is possible. And so you're the communication medium and the person that makes sure architecturally everything works. And the only way that you can do that and make decisions is if you have the BIM skill set. Okay, so that's if you're just an architect. If you learn the BIM skill set, you become amazing at what you do, and you actually become a better architect, and you start to be able to coordinate and model architectural projects within your company. But if you're an engineer, or if you want to transition into just BIM coordination, just by learning the skill set, you become a really good BIM coordinator, right? So everyone thinks BIM management is actually about telling people what to do. But BIM management is not actually about telling people what to do and how to model. It's more about knowing how to use the cloud collaboration tools in order to see what needs to happen, right? If I'm a BIM manager, I go on these BIM meetings and I see, okay, there's ductwork which is clashing with the ceiling. What needs to happen? I'll get the ductwork guy and the architect to have a conversation in front of me, and I'll see what's the best solution which I can come up with. And after those two experts have the conversation about the thing, then I can actually make the decision on what is the best idea that needs to happen based on their inputs. So that's what a BIM coordinator will do, right? The secret is to know how to use the collaboration tools, right? All you have to do then is bring the experts together and they will resolve the issue in front of you. And that's why you get paid a lot, because this is, it's hard to learn the collaboration tools because there's no training online for them. So a BIM manager will make sure that your model does not clash with other models and will take care and be in charge of the whole entire coordination aspect. Okay, so let me actually show you exactly step by step how you would become a BIM manager now. So I made this flowchart and I want you to understand two things, right? Number one is, let me just present this in window. There's a red zone here and a green zone here. The red zone is currently where you are, and the green zone is where you need to get to. This is BIM coordination, management. You understand the whole skill set and everything. Okay, so let's zoom in and have a look at where you are right now. You're either one of these three people. You don't know what Revit is, right? Or you might have learned a little bit about Revit on YouTube, and then you started watching YouTube videos and you started learning about what Revit is on YouTube, right? On YouTube, you go in and you start modeling, you know, this house and then this house, and you have like a small portfolio of things and you understand architecture. If you're an engineer, you might have modeled like a few MEP projects and you can get hired. You eventually get hired as a modeler, a draftsperson, or a designer, right? You're still an architect or an engineer, but after a few years, you realize, I actually like this aspect of the job, but I want to transcend and actually move into more opportunities. I understand BIM is the new wave, like it's what's happening in the next decade, 2 decades, the next century because of AI. So I want to become like a BIM manager and understand that skill set. So what happens is you want to get into BIM management. So you go to like these BIM management interviews, or like you go try to get into those opportunities. And this is what happens. You're either one of these three people. You're working as a modeler, draftsperson, designer. You try to get into the BIM management, and in the interview, they'll ask you one of these three questions, or they'll ask you all three of these questions. They'll ask you, do you know how to set up projects on the Autodesk Construction Cloud as an architect or an engineer, right? And you'll say, no, I don't, because I've never been a BIM manager. Then they'll ask you, well, do you know how to use clash detection with Navisworks, Revitstu, and BIM 360? And then you'll say, well, no, because I've only been like a modeler or a designer. I've only done like some modeling and designing stuff. I've never done like collaboration stuff before or clash detection. And they'll be like, okay, well, do you even have a holistic understanding of architecture, structure, and MEP? Like, do you know if you're an architect in terms of MEP, like plumbing, electrical, mechanical, what can move, what can't move, what's the cheapest solutions? If you're as MEP engineer, do you understand how the whole architectural process works? Do you understand how structure and steel come together in the building? And like what can be manufactured, what can be altered, what's the cheapest solutions? And you'll say, well, no, because I've never actually had a look at this, because I'm a modeler, I'm a designer, I'm a draftsperson, I'm not a coordinator yet. And they'll be like, okay, well, you can't actually become a BIM manager. Let's put you back down to here. So then you'll go back down to here, and then you'll be a modeler, a draftsperson, a designer. And then after some time, you'll start feeling a bit sad, and you'll want to transcend and get better opportunities in your career. Then you'll go back to a BIM manager interview. They'll ask you these three questions, and because you have no experience, you'll go back down. Because you have no experience, you'll go back down. And you'll be stuck in this cycle, in this loop forever until you actually learn 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I want you to learn these three things. And if you learn these three things, then in the job interview, they're going to say, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to set up projects? You'll say yes. Do you know how to do clash detection? And like, if you're assigned a clash, do you know how to actually change it? And like how you would change it? And you'd say yes. And then, do you have a holistic understanding of like how everything works and the whole construction process? And you'd be like, yeah, I understand it, because I've done a few projects on MEP architecture. Like, I understand the clash detection process and everything. Then I'll be like, okay, well, seems like you understand how to do these three things. Let's actually hire you as a BIM coordinator. So now you get hired as a BIM coordinator or a manager just because you know these three things. And then after a few years, you become good at your job, and then you start to showcase your skills online. So you get unlimited freelancing opportunities and even more BIM coordination opportunities, because there's no one doing this. And then now you get to make money. You can start your own company. You can get hired everywhere. You can become a director or a general manager because you know so much about the whole construction process. And then you can become a virtual BIM manager. Like all these people on Fiverr and Upwork asking for people to work with them and do like BIM management at the same time. If you go and type that in, you'll find a lot of jobs, just because they can't find people locally because this is not trained. So this is the process, right? The only thing holding you between where you are right now and where you need to get to are these three skills. And when people say you need to have a lot of experience in order to become a BIM manager, they're correct and wrong at the same time. They're correct in the sense, yes, if you spend 10 years in the industry, maybe after 2 years, your boss will show you how to do this skill. And then after 3 years or 4 years, then your boss will show you how to do this skill, right? And after 10 years, then your boss will, you'll get like a good understanding about this stuff. And then you can become a BIM coordinator, right? But let me tell you an alternative. What about you just learn these 3 things now? If you learn these 3 things now, the only difference between where you are and where you want to go is a lack of skills, not a lack of experience. And this is what I'm saying. The experience serves as a vehicle in order to get you from where you are to where you want to go. But it's not actually about the vehicle, right? Because vehicles can go fast or it can go slow. What about you learn these 3 things in the first place without actually waiting for them to come to you through experience? If you go out of your way to learn how to do this, learn how to do this, and learn how to do this, these 3 skills, it's very simple. You just need to ask someone who's a BIM coordinator how to do these 3 things. They'll teach you, and now you can put it on your resume that you know how to use Navisworks, Revitstu, BIM 360, set up projects. You have an understanding of all these things. You show some proof on your portfolio that you've done some coordination with all these projects and like these applications. And it's so obvious that they're going to see your portfolio. They're going to see the projects you've worked on. They're going to see these new skills that you have. And then they're going to hire you as a coordinator or a BIM manager. So it's not actually about experience. It's more about your skills. So this is what I want to explain to you. When people think that it's more about experience, it's not. It's about skills. And I want you to go out your way and learn these 3 things. And that's the only difference between where you are and where you want to get to. And unfortunately, if you want to get into here and you don't know these 3 things, you will never get there. And you're just going to be stuck in this negative loop, going back and back and back to the start. And you're never going to transcend and push past here, right? There's unlimited opportunities on this side. You can start your own business. You can be really well respected as a BIM manager, a coordinator. You get unlimited job opportunities. But you won't get to that level and unlock the next stage of your career if you don't push past these 3 questions. You don't want to spend time learning this. You want to just learn the skill by asking someone. Because honestly, you can learn these things in like a week or 2, right? It doesn't take long. You can learn it in 3 or 4 days, but then you just need to do it on a few portfolio projects, and then you need to put it on your portfolio and present yourself in a certain way. And then it's very easy to get people to understand that you know how to do the skill. Okay, so just the main thing I want to tell you is it's not based on your experience. It's based on your skill set. And you will become a better BIM manager as you work the job. But to get the job in the first place, just show them that you know how to use the skills. And then that's it. Okay, so hopefully you understand completely a step-by-step guide on where you are right now and what's stopping you from getting into BIM management and coordination. Okay, it's huge. It's going to completely change the world. AI is changing the world and the BIM and the construction industry the same way that Revit changed the AutoCAD industry, right? When AutoCAD and Revit came out, all the people that didn't know how to use it were made redundant. Now Revit is being used more. AutoCAD people are redundant. They're struggling to find jobs, right? Or like they can find jobs, but it's like low paid. And now since BIM is like booming because of AI, BIM and AI are going to take over the whole industry, and you need to understand Revit, but also how to integrate it with BIM. And so whether you're an architect, a consultant, any type of engineer, in order to become a BIM manager, it's only these 3 things you need to learn. And once you learn these 3 things, you can get to here. And it's only a matter of like time. And when I say time, I'm not talking a decade. I'm not talking 5 years. I'm talking like you can get here very quickly, right? Just learn these things. And so if you are any of the above and you want to get into BIM management, I have a link down below. Join my free school and send me a DM, and you can work on me one-on-one, and I will get you from here to here, okay? But I only work with like a few people every single month. So you also need to fit into my sort of like profile. You need to have the right skills and the determination in order for me to guarantee that you can actually get to this stage. So you can join and send me a message. Maybe we'll have a conversation and then see if you're a right fit. But I can't guarantee that I can work with you. You'll have to sort of talk to me and see if this is possible for me to do. So click that link, join my free school. There's tons of value there. I have free courses on Revit and BIM and everything. And then send me a DM and we'll get you started. I'll see you guys in the next video.